Welcome to the Squared Circle Gridiron. I am Don Wayne with Ron and Ricky. Gentlemen, how are you doing today? It's a fine evening here in the central state of Virginia.
Doing good, doing good. Nice out here in California. I was hoping to sit outside, but the wind picked up, so I canceled that.
I have no complaints over here in South Jersey. It was a beautiful day. I can't wait to talk football.
I can't either. What a hell of a past week we had. If you're a fan of the Broncos, it sucked. Otherwise, I was tuned in to everything I could watch. Rod, you said you got the first AP top 25. You want to run that list down before we get started?
Yeah, at number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Florida State. Number 5, USC. Number 6, Ohio State. Number 7, Penn State. Number 8, Washington. Number 9, Notre Dame. And number 10, Oregon.
Number 10 is Oregon, which brings us to the first thing I thought we'd cover. Colorado versus Colorado State. And we said it at the beginning of the year. We talked about it openly here. Colorado's defense is a hot mess. They can score, but they cannot stop you from scoring. It's literally a damn pinball game. Who gets it in there last is who's going to win. But I will give Deion Sanders and them kids all the credit in the world. They had every reason to lose that game. They reached way down and mustered that one out. I tried to stay up late. My dumb ass on the East Coast, head breaking off at 1:30 in the morning up in front of my TV. Why smacking me in the head, telling me to go to sleep and catch the highlights. I'm like, I'm awake. I wasn't awake. I woke up when I heard the last part of the game. And Colorado wins it in double overtime. I was like, oh, remote time. What happened? Rewind. So, yeah, go ahead. I know you got something there, Ricky.
Well, I got to be honest. I didn't see the final score until I woke up the following day because I also fell asleep. I tried. I fell asleep on the couch, but I just couldn't. I couldn't stay up.
Ron, I know you stayed up and watched it, man.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Yeah. Let me tell you, man, the hit that Travis Hunter took, that was vicious.
Yeah.
That hurt them offensively and defensively a little bit, but the composure on Sanders for the game tying drive, 98 yards.
Yep.
Minute and 35 or minute and 4, something like that, was amazing. His composure was better than some NFL starting quarterback's composure. That was just amazing how composed he was, and they just find a way to win. They found a way to win.
That kid, no moment is too big for that kid. I have been in utter disbelief at the jump he's made from the level he was playing at. Now he's in real big-time college football. He's at 1A football, man. It don't get no bigger than this. Want to thank everybody that's joining us right now, man. If you guys got anything to say, the comments are always open. Sanders impressed me. Mel Kiper actually released his big board this week. Guess what? Sanders was on there. I didn't realize Sanders was a junior. There was a discussion had between Deion and Junior there in the stands at a football game this weekend. Looked like Denver Stadium to me that they were watching. And his son made the comment that, I'm going to be playing here next year. And his dad said, you ain't coming out of college. So we might be seeing some discord there in the Sanders household, because if you're the young Sanders, I think you got to start, you got to strike when the iron is hot. That's just me. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I agree. I think is the other son, is he
the safety? I think he's a safety.
Senior. Yeah, he's coming up. But yeah, I saw that, and it's kind of an interesting statement. I think Sanders is trying to tell him, I don't think you're quite ready, to be in the NFL. You might think so in your head. No, I know Tom Brady texts you and everything, but still, you might need another season as starting quarterback in a tougher division.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, the past 2 years prior to this, he was in a real small school. I don't know what kind of talent he played against. I think this is his first real year, his first test year, so to speak, where he's playing against top athletes. He's playing against, teams week in and week out. He showed me last game a lot of leadership skills, things that don't show up on combine day when you're bench pressing, when you're doing the high jump, all that stuff. He has skills so far. Hopefully they carry over into these next couple games and, further in his career. But he definitely has leadership skills. He stood up for his teammates, and you could just see he has something about him. Is it that it's that bravado like his dad has? But it seems like it's controlled. He's not a wild man. He can control his emotions. So I really like that about that kid.
Yeah.
So there was the shot that was laid on Hunter, the kid Blackburn, Henry Blackburn. I didn't look, man. Football plays happen. That didn't look like a football play to me. Hunter is one of their best players on that team. I didn't like the shot, but for all you morons out there that are putting death threats against this poor kid, get a life. He made a mistake. Yeah. Get a life. It's a game. He did it. You know, it's one of those bang bang things. The kid saw the football. It wasn't a good play. You guys that are overreacting like that, get bit. Go to hell. I got no use for you people in my life. But here's my thing on the Hunter injury, right? And here's how I think it should be handled. Blackburn should not be allowed to play again until Hunter can take the field. That's how I believe the NCAA should handle it. That's just my personal opinion. What do you think, Ron?
He didn't get.
I know, didn't even get kicked out. Stayed in the game.
Nothing. And they had six unsportsmanlike conduct penalties against them that night. 6.
Yeah.
They were just trying to be straight up bullies, and they were playing dirty. And good for Colorado for the most part, you know, keep their composure. But he should be. Yeah, I agree. He should be suspended. In the NFL, he had been suspended. You know, it's just stupid.
Ricky, how long do you think he should sit out? Just curious what you think about my thoughts. He shouldn't play until Hunter plays again.
I think the NCAA should take a look at it, even if they didn't call it a targeting penalty. They should definitely take a look at it. I think it's too harsh to say he should sit out until Hunter comes back, because let's say Hunter's out 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It was definitely a dumb penalty. There was a lot of emotion going on, and I just want to kind of say one thing. I thought Colorado State started out good. They were up 14-7. That penalty happens. Colorado drives downfield. Sanders drives them. They tie it up. That, to me, was the tell of the game right there. That penalty gave Colorado some, emotion there. But I thought Colorado State really hurt themselves throughout the whole game, and that falls on coaching. That falls on players being undisciplined. They had 17 penalties for 182 yards.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, they should have lost by actually more. I was surprised that they were able to stay in the game. They had
Colorado's defense. Colorado's defense kept them in it.
Exactly. I mean, they had 17 penalties, 182 yards. They had 4 turnovers, and they had 3 INTs. The game should have not have been that close. But like you said, Colorado's defense gives up.
Is atrocious. It's atrocious.
So
there's no way to sugarcoat it, brother. It's bad. The defense is bad. I don't know how else to put it. If they're not picking you off, they're giving up touchdowns. Like it's a eat all or take all type defense.
Yeah.
I also saw, and this is just me, but I know you think it seems kind of harsh. Hunter's their best player outside of Sanders, right? Like that's their best weapon, offense and defense. To me, the punishment should fit the crime. You put in a dirty hit, you should sit out until that kid can come back. It only seems fair to me because he's one of their better players on defense. That's just my opinion, man.
Fair enough. I think it opens up a can of worms. I think it just opens up a can of worms going forward. It's kind of a tough thing. I don't disagree with you necessarily. I just think it opens up a huge can of worms.
Here's a can of worms I'd like to open up. The NCAA is a spineless sack of an organization. You're going to tell the kid in North Carolina he can't play and do jack all of shit with this Colorado game. They got no guts. They have no value. I keep saying it. Big 10, SEC, Big 12, please, Blake, and ACC, please break away from the NCAA and do your own thing. I'm done with the NCAA's nonsense. I'm done with it. And on to Sanders, you talked about his organization, the skills, who's he's played with. He's thrown 80 touchdowns and 15 picks in 3 years of football. The kid can ball.
Yeah.
I also saw Oregon went out to Hawaii and beat the hell out of them. That was sad. It's Hawaii. I always pull for little Hawaii. If I was a kid on the cusp of playing for like a Cal or a USC and Hawaii came calling, I'd go out there and play, man, just to be able to live in Hawaii for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So Oregon and Colorado, big game this weekend. Big game. Who are you taking? The spread's 21.
I'm taking Colorado in 21.
So am I. Absolutely.
Okay. Everybody's on the 21.
Colorado covers that. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Colorado not only covers it, they end up beating them.
Wow. That's a shot. I'm not jumping that far in the bandwagon. I think Colorado's a good story. I don't know they're beating Oregon this weekend. I got to take Oregon. I'm not giving up the points, but I'm taking Oregon straight up. I can't see Colorado's defense being able to withstand what they're bringing on that offense right now. I just don't. And I know there's going to be the hype around Dion is so hypersensitive. Them kids are going to be tuned up, man. They're going to be tuned up for this game. Also got another big game. Notre Dame rolled and Ohio State rolled. Ohio State's offense finally looked like it back on track. And if you notice, I'm trying to pull the stats down. They got behind their running game in that game. Did you guys see any of those numbers?
No.
No, I saw bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Ohio State, the quarterback threw some. They got on that ground game and didn't stop. The quarterbacks total threw it 27 times. They ran it 33 times for 200 yards. They were getting on that run game. They figured out a way to get it going. Marvin Harrison was terrific again, 5 for $126. They were playing Western Kentucky. I feel like that might be the game that gets Ohio State rolling. Notre Dame is not a pushover anymore. Notre Dame's real. That quarterback, I don't know if you guys watch him very much. That dude's got a full beard. He looks like he's 30. 22, my ass. That's a full-grown man. That ain't a kid. That dude looked like a full-grown man coming out there, slinging that rock. I like Notre Dame in this matchup. I know I might be alone, but I'm taking them this weekend. What do you guys like?
I'm taking Notre Dame too. Hartman, Sam Hartman, and he's a transfer from I can't remember what school. He's a transfer from, but he can
I can't remember either.
He can throw. The kid can throw. He's like one of the top 10. The list I had last week, he's one of the top 10 college football quarterbacks.
Right.
But I'm going Notre Dame.
I can't add much to this other than I'm going against Notre Dame. I'm going to
look at
Ohio State.
Pure hater. You're a pure hater all the way through. Just can't stand them, can you? I can look at you and tell you hate them. I can look at you and tell. There you go. Larry said he came from the old, dumb, and ugly, ODU. So there you go. That's my rivalry in college. I hate that school. Washington and Michigan State played. I was curious how this game was going to go. Michigan State, you didn't know if they were for real or not. Clearly not. And I don't know if what's going on behind the scenes had a lot to do with that game. Michigan State and Penix Jr. went out there. He threw for 473 yards and 4 touchdowns. But then I looked at the game tape on that thing, and I watched all the highlights. They got a lot of weapons on that team at wide receiver. And I don't know if it's just the quarterback or if it's the offensive coordinator. They look like they've got some talent on that team they've never had before. I'm really curious what you guys think. I'll let you go here, Ricky, because I know you've been big on him since he came out. I know you were high on him. Here's the thing, though. On Mel Kiper's big board, he was not above Sanders in his rankings. So what does that tell you? Well, then Kiper might be smoking the Okies.
Well, I don't listen. Kiper's Kiper. I'm not taking nothing away from the guy. He's been around forever and whatever. Penix is thrown for over close to 1,400 yards so far.
Yeah.
Which is actually number one over Sanders. Sanders has roughly 1,250 yards. There's always a game within a game. One thing I noticed about Penix is in the last couple games, especially this past week, he has a lot of poise. He stays in that pocket. He doesn't get nervous. He doesn't just scramble around. He's actually looking for his targets. And one of the most important things I saw was, which might translate to the next level, he just doesn't look at his first receiver. No. He scans his wide receivers. So that might be another reason why his receivers always seem like they're getting open. He seems like he scans the field and he finds them. So I kind of like the kid. I think he has poise and,
he chucks it up to that 6'4" kid, though.
Yeah.
He threw some oh shit, please catch it balls this past weekend. There's no denying that, but I can't take anything away from them. They've got some talent on that team. Ron, what do you think, man? I know it's on your side of the country. You ought to be seeing them more than I am.
Yeah. I'll actually be watching it this week. They're playing Oregon State, so
yes, sir. Big matchup.
Now,
on paper.
Who have they actually played? Have they played like pancake teams?
I haven't seen Washington. Washington's just played Michigan State, which I thought would be a decent game. But with everything going on behind the scenes, you just don't know how ready Michigan State was for that game. They got a lot of crap going on.
The other two games were not, just pancake games. So let's see what he does this week against a top 15 team. He's got the tools. He's got the receivers too. So if the receivers are going against DBs that can cover him, then he needs to throw dimes. It's easier to throw a pass to somebody that's wide open and somebody's being covered good.
You're making Big Lou hungry talking about them pancake teams, man. He's in here getting syrup ready. My man's ready to get some syrup and some sausages. Watch the Bama game. I don't know if you guys watched that or not. My God.
Yeah.
I got to feel – look, I sort of feel bad for Bama fans right now because they haven't been in this position in a long time. But that was a team – and I give the coach credit, saving all the credit in the world. He gave the other two quarterbacks a chance to show they should be playing and starting. And they gave him no reason to believe that Milrose should not be out there. So Milrose starting this weekend. They got a big game. They start their SEC conference game. They're playing Ole Miss. I don't think this is going to be as one-sided as it used to be. But in the back of my mind, I keep wondering, is it going to click for Bama? Is it going to click and everything starts rolling again like they usually do? Usually by now, I don't have any questions about Bama this time of year. You see what they are. I still got questions about Bama. I still got concerns. The secondary doesn't look as great as I thought it would be. The pass rush isn't there. Ron, I'll let you go, man. Who you taking, Ole Miss or Alabama this weekend?
I'll take Ole Miss. If Bama could clean up their penalties, then they might be able to win a game. But they got penalized a lot again last week. They can't get out of their own way. That's one of their main problems. They can't get out of their own damn way. So I'll go with Mississippi State.
It's Ole Miss. Ole Miss.
They look good. Ole Miss. Yeah.
All right, Ricky.
I thought last week, I watched most of that game against South Florida. Alabama is just not the same Alabama. Ron, like you just said, they couldn't get out of their own way. Ton of penalties. It's not just a quarterback. I mean, the whole quarterback situation. They couldn't throw the ball 5 yards downfield. They couldn't run the ball. And you could just see Nick Saban on the sidelines. He was so frustrated because he realizes that this isn't a typical Alabama team.
It's not. It's not.
To be honest, I don't know what they're going to do this week because I don't know what Alabama is. I really don't. I mean, I guess it's the old saying, when you have three quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
That's true.
So, you know what? I really don't know. I can't make a prediction on this game, but from what I
got to give me something. Give me something.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Alabama just because they're ranked higher and it's Alabama. I'm surprised that they're still ranked 10 after last week. I'll be honest with you. But
yeah. They're ranked 13th.
They're 13.
13. I'm sorry. Yeah. 13.
I think they're 13 and Bama's and Ole Miss is 15, I believe.
Now let me ask you guys this: was it Bill O'Brien the OC last year for him?
I want to say he was.
Yeah. So with his departure, could that be one of the problems?
I don't think so because Nick Saban, he's a smart guy. His assistants are never some you've never heard of me moment. He's always got coordinators that are always they're always one of the top paid coordinators. I don't think that's it. I'll say this much about the game, right? So until you knock them off, until you show me that Alabama is truly down this year, roll damn Tide. I think they got something for you this weekend. I think you might start to see that team get away from trying to make Milroe throw it so much and start using his legs like they did last year when he came into Subsun. Think you might start to see a little bit of a change in Alabama and how they approach the games this weekend. One game got my attention, hadn't gotten a whole lot of love and talked about this week, FSU and Boston College. You talk about a team that shot itself in the foot over and over again with penalties. Boston College, my God in heaven. The last drive, right? Where was that? They had them stopped. 3rd and 6, and they had them stopped. What do? Personal foul, face mask penalty, take knees, game over. Penalties, 18 for 130 yards against Boston College in that game. You are not going to win doing that kind of nonsense. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. I will say this. I can't say the kid's name for nothing.
Castellanos.
Yes, that kid is special. Between running around for his life, the kid had a total of 400 yards running and passing. Love that kid. So glad they got him. I'm enjoying watching Boston College. I don't know that they've got there. You know, I don't know if they're going to be standing at the end, but they're fun to watch right now. I don't know about you guys. I think they're fun to watch, man.
Speaking of Castellanos, I want to do a little segue into baseball. Did anyone see his throw today against the Braves?
I did not. Was any good?
It was awesome. He made a catch in foul territory. There was a guy on third base. Guy ended up running to home. He threw him out. Laser. Got him out. It was an awesome throw. I don't know if the quarterback for Boston College is a relative, but I just thought I would bring it up.
It's kind of a small world. I don't know if that's just coincidence. And the Phillies, yes, your Phillies beat my Braves today. Wasn't real happy with that game. Damn it, the Braves are struggling. Big Lou wants to know, will Alabama be there at the end of the season, and will they be in the conversation to get a top-tier bowl spot? I don't know, Big Lou. Right now, it ain't looking too good.
That's tough. It's tough.
No.
Tennessee fell hard. Go ahead.
I'm going to say no as well.
Yeah.
Tennessee fell hard this past weekend. That you guys have heard me say it since the season began. I wasn't sold on Milton. I'm still not. Tennessee's defense was a damn swinging saloon door. They let that kid ETN just eat them alive. Kid was running up and down the field. They couldn't stop them. I don't know how far they're going to let this go in Tennessee. I don't know you can let it go much further before you turn and look at that rookie, that freshman. You cannot let that happen to you and then expect to be a contender for a national championship. That should never happen.
No.
Especially against Florida.
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen Tennessee play this year. I watched a lot of Tennessee last year because they're on like at 9 o'clock in the morning. He's just, I don't know.
He cannot hit the crossing pattern.
No.
He cannot hit the short stuff. The deep ball he's good at, but he cannot. There's an old adage, right? So in baseball, they say you're either a pitcher or a thrower of the ball. He looks like a thrower of the football, not a quarterback of the football. He can throw it as far as you want. He doesn't look like he's truly a quarterback yet.
Yeah, he's a one-trick pony, and then missed tackles. You got to tackle somebody, That was a rough game to watch.
It was god-awful.
Everything you guys just talked about is 100% correct, and I'm going to add this to that. Time of possession. Florida almost doubled them, 37-28 to 22 minutes. That's the game right there.
Yeah, you can't have that. On to LSU, which Larry is going to be excited about. Larry, LSU will close the door early on Bama. We shall see about that. LSU went out there and just walked the dog on Mississippi State. That was a debacle from the minute of the word go. They went forward on fourth down multiple times, touchdowns multiple times on fourth down. Tip your hat. LSU got beat down early. They're coming back strong. I've enjoyed what I've seen from them. They look like they might have gotten it back on their feet. That was a hard loss they took early in the season. That's great coaching to keep those kids focused and keep them moving in the right direction, in my opinion. I don't know what you think there, Ricky. What do you think about it?
I think LSU is going to be one of those teams where they might not lose again. What are they, 14, 15 right now, something like that? I could see them jumping up in the next couple of weeks. When's their next toughest game? Is it this week? When's their next tough game?
They play Arkansas this week.
Yeah, so they start. No, that'll be a good test. That'll be a good test. I mean, Arkansas can run the ball, so we're going to see if they can stop the run. I mean, look, Arkansas is never going to be that top tier program, but they're not an easy out. They are usually not an easy out.
I'll tell you what, that kid Daniels I think he's a pretty good quarterback.
Oh, boy.
I think he's got a lot of talent.
He's caught my eye, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
agree with that.
I enjoyed watching him play. He's from San Bernardino, which is like a half hour, 40 minutes from me. It's right down.
Okay.
Yeah. He was impressive with his legs and with his arm. And he looks He looks skinny as all hell, but he's what, 214 pounds, 6'4"?
Yeah. He's got a thick frame.
Yeah,
Larry says the last 3 games against them Arkansas Hogs has been decided by 9 points. So it'll be a tough out. Like I said, Arkansas is never an easy out, man. They don't get the love they deserve, but they are never an easy out. Then we get to the Georgia-South Carolina game. And my boy Ricky had high hopes. My man was riding high on the hog. He said, that's it. We got him. 14-3. Here we come. And then, oh my God, they hung 21 straight and never looked back.
So last week, I picked them to cover. So they covered. But I'll tell you, every week I keep thinking Spencer Rattler, he's going to come out. This is his coming out party. And that guy, I don't know what's wrong with him. He just did not look good again last week. He's not making good throws. He's not hitting his open receivers. He just, I mean, Carolina was kind of lucky to hang in there, but, I'm expecting more from Spencer Rattler, and he hasn't showed me anything yet.
Ron, got anything to add to that game?
Yeah, it was it's like a tale of two cities, They looked good at the very beginning, then all of a sudden they just kind of fell apart. And I was going back and forth between that game and the Florida State Boston College game too. So, but yeah, all the hype around Rattler, even like last year too, just I'm not buying it. So I don't know. You're more of a South. I don't know.
The kid lives in a perpetual state of hypeness. He lives in a perpetual state of hypeness. He was hyped up going to Oklahoma. He was hyped up going to South Carolina. He's not a terrible quarterback. He's just not going to be that guy that can carry your ball club, I don't think, to the next level. He's a serviceable quarterback you can build around, but you're not going to beat teams like Georgia and you're not going to beat teams like Alabama. Just what I think.
No.
I've got one other topic before we close out the college football discussion. You guys got anything else that caught your eye you want to talk about in college before I get to this?
No.
Who is your dark horse right now for the Heisman? Dark horse. Dark horse. I'll give you mine. Duke's quarterback, Riley Leonard. Doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't sound real impressive, right?
No, but
kid threw for 219 yards this weekend, ran for another 97 for 2 touchdowns. The kid is quietly carrying Duke's offense. Quietly. Let me see if I can find some of his other numbers. Have you guys seen a Duke game at all?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the Clemson game to start the season?
No.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So the actual team stats for Duke this weekend. Duke had a total of 268 rushing yards. He was 97 of them. They had 487 rush. They had a total of 487 offensive yards. Like I said, he rushed for 97, threw for 219. The kid was literally over half the offense.
Oh.
Keep your eye on that kid. I'm not saying he's going to be the next coming. He's caught my eye. He played really well. He's carrying that friend. He's carrying that team. Hats off to him, man. What a hell of a kid. What a hell of an effort.
All right.
Oh, no. I just saw some breaking news.
What was it?
Cam Akers was traded to the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, they need something because that running game is shit, and we'll talk about that game now. Philadelphia and Minnesota opened up Thursday night. You have the floor, Ricky. I know those are your boys.
Well, I don't quite – I'm kind of echoing what I talked about last week. Look, the Eagles are 2-0, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. There's something a little bit off with their offense. I'm not putting it on Hurts. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's a new offensive coordinator. I just think, again, I touched on it last week, but I'll touch on it again. And it's not just the Eagles. What we're seeing is teams not in full rhythm yet. A lot of these teams, games week 2 is really like the last preseason game. So these offenses and these teams aren't playing in the preseason. it's taken them 2 or 3 games just to really get the offense going. And I think that's what we're seeing with the Eagles. Now, thank God they're 2-0, but they really haven't clicked. And, I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be there at the end. They got a couple more injuries, but I'm looking to see a little bit more from Hurts. So hopefully he can pick it up going forward here.
We talked about this last week. Why the hell was DeAndre Swift not getting the ball? We talked about that last week, right?
Yeah.
We said, how the hell does that guy have one measly carry in this ball game? One damn carry in 4 quarters. Well, son, he got it 28 times and ran loose for 175 yards. You cannot give him the ball 28 times a game because he's not built for that, but you've got to get it to him 15 to 20 times a game. I also feel like A.J. Brown, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why suddenly DeAndre Swift, they've decided to force feed him the ball. He is not the bigger receiver. He is not the guy that's going to help you out in those 3rd and shorts. And they keep trying to go down the field on those 3rd and mediums. I'm not sure what the logic is there. Don't get me wrong. Devontae had a really good game. I felt like there were times they should have gotten Brown involved more, and he should have been the primary target. The guy had 1,400 yards last year. He's not a scrub. Let's get back to maybe doing a little bit more of that. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, what's going on? What happened to Rashad Penny?
He was out there holding people when A.J. Brown was catching touchdowns. That's why his ass got off the field real quick.
Yeah, I got distracted by seeing updates about the Rams thing. So, I think with the Eagles wide receivers, I think you have a 1A, 1B number 1 receiver. So there's gonna be games where Devontae Smith's gonna be hot, and games that he's not. And then A.J. Brown, that's not a bad situation to have for a team. That sucks fantasy football wise, but have two number 1 wide receivers, kind of like the Bengals have with Chase and Higgins, defunct 1 and 1A, 1B.
But here, Big Lou says it as well. A.J. Brown's got to get more touches. I agree. I'm not saying to get away from your other weapons, but A.J. Brown's a weapon for you guys. He's got to see the ball more. And the Vikings, I know we're talking a lot about the Eagles. Vikings, you got to hold on to the damn football, man. Yeah. Y'all got 7 turnovers in 2 games. I don't know. That explains why they traded for Akers, because God knows that was a complete disaster. Couldn't do anything right. Horrible all the way around. I want to talk about a little bit something that was more recent, and that was the Browns and the Steelers game and Nick Chubb. And that was – I'm not going to even bring up the picture of it. It was horrendous. Cool. No. It was very Willis McGahee. It was very Joe Theismann. I feel awful for that man. I have loved watching Nick Chubb ever since he was in Georgia, obviously. Yep. He's a stand-up guy. It says everything in the world when the head coach of the Steelers refers to him as Mr. Chubb. When he calls him Mr. Chubb before they go in and after games, he's got all the respect for everybody in the NFL. That was a horrendous injury. I feel so bad for him just because of the stand-up guy he was. The stand-up guy he is.
That could potentially end his career. He'll probably come back in some form, but correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the same knee he busted up in college in 2015?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's really hard to put those kind of miles on that knee, doing what he does, being the kind of running back he is. I really hope he comes back. And Don, like you said, I feel bad for the guy. Whether it's him or Aaron Rodgers or whoever, you hate to see that. So I really hope he can come back and, make some kind of impact again.
Well, kind of on top of that, then Fitzpatrick getting hounded and ridiculed and being called up for a dirty play. It wasn't a dirty play. If you look at it, it wasn't a dirty play. It was bam, bam. You can't stop that. It's unfortunate it happened, but Fitzpatrick is, I think it's wrong for people being sending him threats now too.
I feel bad about the whole thing. It's a very unfortunate incident. It happens.
I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised those kind of injuries don't happen more often.
I also was watching, Deshaun Watson. Let's go ahead and talk about this.
Nope.
Let's talk about this. All right. Let's get into his dumbass with the penalties and the personal fouls, and he can't. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's lost. He looks broken, right? Like he looks like he's completely out of his element now. People don't understand. You sit out of football for a year. It's not like riding a bike. You don't just get back out there and perform like you used to. That's why when people get hurt for the year, you always get nervous about them coming back. He sat out a year. He does not look like the same quarterback that left when he was playing in Houston. He looks terrible. He's making bad throws. Everything's short. He can't hit anybody in stride. I don't know what else to say about the guy, man.
Well, we kind of spoke on it last week, and it's the same thing. His arm he looks like he has a spaghetti arm. He can't hit a guy 15, 20 yards out. Like the ball just kind of drops. And you said he was out a year. Wasn't he out almost 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
He was almost out 2 years. Yeah. He played some last year, but I'm just saying he missed that full year.
But the point that I'm making is that's hard. It's kind of, I don't want to, it's kind of like people saying when there's a quarterback opening somewhere, whether it's Aaron Rodgers with the Jets or whoever, oh, well, bring Colin Kaepernick in. He could play. The guys, no. Listen, no. The point that I'm making is he's been out of football for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Now we're talking about Watson, who's been out, whatever, year and a half, 2 years. He's having a hard time, right? Now we're talking about a guy who's been out for 5 years. You don't just come back into the NFL and start throwing laser beams and hitting guys on target. It's
preposterous to think they can do that. Rod, what did you think of what's happening with Kenny Pickett, man? Did you watch the Monday night game with him at all?
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
I think they need to fire their offensive coordinator.
I'm hearing I'm hearing a lot of that, man. Like I'm hearing a lot of what's going on out there is being looked at on him.
It's the same crap that they're doing last year too. He just needs to get in sync. They need to get a running game. Najee Harris can't run worth a shit right now. If they're expecting Warren to be the number one back, that's not gonna happen. He's not gonna last. He's not that kind of a back. They're a mess. The offense is a mess. You could say, well, Deontay Johnson's out. Yeah, that's fine. But you still have other players out there, and it's sad. I love the Steelers too, but
Kenny Pickett he was 15-30, man. He was terrible.
Yeah.
And you talked about Harris, right? Najee Harris. He had 43 yards on 10 carries. However, one of those carries went for 21 yards.
Yeah.
So he carried it 9 times for 22 yards. That's not going to get it done. That's just over 2 yards a carry. That's not going to get it done. I don't know what's happening out there, but somebody's got to figure something out quick. Moving on to the next game, Las Vegas and Buffalo. As a Broncos fan, it did my heart good to watch that prison rape live on TV. You didn't like it, but it was going to happen. And I hoped you liked your pizzas, Big Lou, because that's what you get. Rod, did you happen to catch that score at all?
I watched that debacle, man. Jimmy G is trash. It can't, Josh Jacobs isn't ready. I mean, he's running, but if the quarterback, the reason why Josh Jacobs did good last year was because Carr can hit the long ball. He's got a deep ball throw. Garoppolo can't. And why are they not using freaking Hunter Renfrow? I
still can't figure that out. I still can't figure that out.
You know why? Because he's not a McDaniels guy. That's why.
Then trade him somewhere that'll use him. God knows I can see the Patriots using a guy like that to no end.
Oh, I saw a little a list of top 10 possible trades, and that was one of the things. And hey, good for him because Hunter he can play. What the hell?
I don't get it, dude.
I would not be surprised if before the season ends, Adams forces his way out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either. So here's the thing, right? Everybody always talks about why you've got to be at training camp. You've got to be at training camp. This is a prime example. Josh Jacobs missed all of training camp, and guess what? Josh Jacobs looks like he missed all of training camp. He doesn't look like he's right. He doesn't look ready. On to the next game, Baltimore and Cincinnati. This thing was The score does not indicate how big of a beating this was.
Yeah.
Baltimore was up big. Cincinnati rallied to come back. They only lost by 3 points. But the bigger issue coming out of this thing is the quarterback's hurt, and he's down again. He threw the ball 41 times and couldn't get more than 220 yards. Also, they cannot find a way to get Jamar Chase going. They're throwing these bubble screens, and now I think we know why. I think they're throwing bubble screens because that calf is stopping him from planting on his back foot and launching it down the field. I am not saying that the backup is going to do better than friggin' Joe Burrow. But right now, Joe Burrow isn't Joe Burrow.
No.
Anything? What you got there, Ron? Anything?
I think he should have sat out the first 2 games. I saw some that they didn't even do an X-ray before the start of the season to make sure he was good. So he can just come up and tell the coach, I'm good, I'm fine, but he's not fine. And especially with that kind of injury, hearing like the fancy doctor, Dr. Morse, explain.
Yeah, I watch him.
Yeah. So you watch it, and he explains this is a tricky injury because it could just pop back up like that. So if you're not being smart, he should have sat out the first couple of weeks probably. Now he's gonna miss a Rams game. Or if they put him in the Rams game.
No, hell no, they're not. No, they're not gonna put him in there. You can bet on that. I'd sit that guy for 4 weeks at a minimum. You have to.
I don't care if the backup is there throwing an NFL pass. It doesn't matter. You got to look out for your investment. They just invested $242 million in him, right? Something like that.
Yeah, a lot of money. A lot, and they invested money in that offensive line.
He had his 2 touchdown passes were 4 yards and 3 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, a touchdown's a touchdown, but normally you see Burrow, like you said, Higgins had 2, but a lot of times it's an 82-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
It's a 56-yard touchdown. Definitely something's off with Burrow. He's probably injured, like you guys said. But they're 0-2. I mean, you go 0-4, 0-5. That's a hard hole to climb out of.
It is, but you can't risk your $240 million quarterback.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
On to the Jaguars and the Chiefs. Looking at it now, this was not a pretty football game. It wasn't pretty. Mahomes threw a damn balloon ball on second down. They got picked. Trevor Lawrence, the third down conversion was abysmal. I believe they're the lowest third down percentage of the NFL right now. They're not looking real sharp. I don't know why they can't get ETN going. They threw him a lot of screens last year. It works really well. They've almost gotten completely away from that altogether. ETN had a total of 2 catches in this game. Guys, use your weapon. Ridley's your deep threat. ETN's your underneath guy. Everett is your across the middle guy. It's really not that complicated. You guys are overthinking this because you've got all these other guys. You want to get Christian Kirk involved. That's great. He ate Calvin Ridley.
No.
Ricky, what'd you think about it?
Well, I mean, like you said, both teams didn't look great. Offenses were sputtering. They couldn't move the ball really well. But Kansas City did enough to win, an ugly win, 17-9. I think Jacksonville will get things figured out. I think Doug Peterson's a very good coach. I think whether it's Etienne, Kirk, they got some offensive weapons. I do think Jacksonville at the end of the year is going to be there. I think they're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah. I think what Ricky said earlier too about some of these offenses aren't clicking because they don't play in the preseason. I think seeing that with Kansas City. I think you're seeing that with Jacksonville and stuff.
Yeah.
Jacksonville will be fine. And Kansas City's a tough team, and Chris Jones was just going crazy.
He had a hell of a game. I give the guy credit. He had a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Tennessee, Los Angeles Chargers. Look, man. This is the most Charger shit you can Charger. It really is. This team. The last 40 years I've been watching football, this is what they are. They get all-time great players, and they ruin their careers. They literally shit the field with the head coaches every single decade. It's insane that this franchise can't get this thing right. You had 300 yards out of your quarterback. You kept Derrick Henry under 100 yards. You kept Ryan Tannehill under 250 yards. You sacked him 5 times, and you lose in overtime. That coach has got to go. He is a walking catastrophe. What a jackass.
And he's a defensive-minded coach. So how's that? Okay. Chargers do this every freaking year too. They
every decade. Every decade.
Every year, every year, whatever. They start out slow. For some ungodly reason, they just freaking throw games away. Get away now. It's just why they can't get their shit together in time. And so then they start getting their shit together, and then it's a mad scramble towards the end of the season, And Staley, if Staley loses this week, which I think they might lose in Minnesota, then he should be on a hot seat because I don't think he should be a coach. I think he's meant to be just a defensive coordinator.
Ron, you got anything to add there?
I think you guys said it perfectly. It happens every year to the Chargers. It seems like it's rinse, wash, repeat, rinse. They always have weapons, talent. They have McCardle, who always seems to have 1,500 yards, and they have the quarterback now. They have Eckler, but like you said, I don't know what it is. They're a West Coast team, so I don't get to watch them often, but it just seems like every year it's the same thing.
Yeah.
On to the game that shocked me and opened my eyes because it cost me my damn parlay. Green Bay and Atlanta. Green Bay and Atlanta. This game. Hey, I am a believer now in the Atlanta Falcons and that defense. They are for real. That is a tough out. They are not going to let you walk all over them. Ricky, you have something to say about this one?
I didn't watch the whole game. I do think Atlanta's offense. I think their offense is cooking. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole game, but like you said, I think Atlanta's real. I think listen, they might come out of that and win that division over there.
Yeah.
That's a tough team. They're way better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are. This is what I love about the Atlanta Falcons. They are convinced of what they are. We are a running football team. No matter who you are or how good you think you are, we are going to run the ball 30 times against you, and we're going to make it count. That Robinson kid is everything I thought he would be, and they're feeding it to Algier. Algier is exactly what I thought he'd be getting, 15 carries a game. Robinson's getting 15 to 20 touches a game. They know what they have in that team. Tip your hat to that damn organization. Way to go, Falcons. Yeah. Love what I saw. That's a team that knows what its identity is.
And Ritter actually did better this week, too. Looks like the passing game got a little bit more going this week than last week, too.
Yeah, it wasn't spectacular, but it was just enough to help ease the offense whenever he needed it. When they needed when it was 2nd and 8, he'd get you 4 or 5 yards. He was doing enough.
Yeah, that's what I need to do.
Seattle and Detroit. My heart broke. My heart broke this weekend. I don't know how much y'all saw that.
Yeah.
I was pulling for those Lions. Rod, I'll let you have this one. I know you love some Pete Carroll.
I hate Pete Carroll. I just want to punch that dude right in the face and his gum chewing. Oh God, no. They walked away with a win, man. I don't think Seattle is. I don't think they're good. They'll win some games, but they're not as good as everybody makes them out to be. Detroit I think they just got overhyped in themselves. They didn't use Gibbs right. They should. When Montgomery went out, that hurt them. So they just need to figure out what they're going to do going forward, especially using Gibbs. The kid's a dynamic player.
Go ahead, Ricky. I got to know you got something.
No, you know what? Listen, I like the Lions. We hyped them up. I'm not a fan of Goff. I've never been. So they go as far as he goes. And in my opinion, I don't think he's going to carry them far. I think they're a cool story. The Lions, they got all the hype, but I don't think Goff's going to carry them far. I don't think he's the answer there.
Well, converting 1 of 3 4th downs did not help the Lions. I mean, they were turning it over on those 4th downs. It didn't help. I didn't like that. The Indianapolis-Houston game, there's not a lot to cover except for one thing. You got 2 rookie quarterbacks out there going at it. I felt bad for Richardson getting that concussion. That was a nasty knock he took. I mean, when he fell back on his head, you knew he was out. That was a nasty fall. C.J. Stroud has not thrown an interception so far. And you can tell when he's playing, he's still a little bit in college. He's not quite NFL ready, but he's reading the field. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him. I really am curious to see how far the Texans go this year. I think the second half of this year, they're going to see a different team. I think you're going to see a team that's turning around the second half of this year. Tampa Bay and Chicago. You've got to give me something here. What do you got to tell? Someone tell me how Tampa Bay is doing this with Mayfield. Somebody tell me something.
I got 2 words for you. Well, actually 3. Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow. And they're not going to be 3-0 after this week. And I'm not just saying that because it's the Eagles. They're not going to be 3-0 after this week.
Now, if you think about it, the first game, Minnesota gave it away to them with turnovers.
Turnovers, yep.
They should have won.
Yes, they did.
And then last week, they're finding ways to win one way or another, you know.
Yeah.
And then plus you're going against the Bears, who can't get out of their own damn way either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some comments there. There's some comments there. Did you guys see that today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
I don't know. Not that. I'm talking about Justin Fields.
Oh no.
No.
They asked Justin Fields. They asked Justin Fields why he wasn't throwing the ball. What he thought the problem was on the team, because they showed some clips where he's got guys running wide open down the middle.
Oh.
The play design is there and they're running open. He said coaching is an issue.
Ooh.
That's
wait. He said the quiet part out loud.
He said the quiet part out loud. He said he's got problems with the coaching.
Wow, that's going to get him into some hot water.
Big Lou is also not a fan of Pete Carroll, as you can tell by his. I'll leave it there. But yeah, he said
he just wants his pizza. He just wants pizza.
Yeah, he got it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not real big on what Fields said. I don't think that's a good way to go about doing it.
No,
it's his business. Whatever. I didn't like what I heard today. So, moving on to the New York Giants, Arizona. Where? Oh, the Giants showed up this week. Did you see that? It took freaking 6 quarters for the Giants to do a damn thing. Ricky, you're a Northeast guy. You love the NFC East. What the hell's going on with his team?
All right, listen. They were down after 6 quarters, 67-0, right?
Yeah.
I think we texted.
Yes.
I was okay, and I'm like, I will say this, and I'm going to be honest. They were getting their asses handed to them. Arizona was just pounding them. I give the Giants and Daniel Jones in that second half. I watched the second half. Arizona was trying. I mean, Arizona was fighting. I give the Giants 100% credit. I give Daniel Jones. He had fire in his belly. He came out after that halftime, and he showed me a lot. Barkley showed me a lot. And it's too bad that he got injured. He's out for a couple of weeks. But that kid, Daniel Jones, who I've never been very high on, hit the fire in his belly after halftime. I'll tell you what, man, I give them all the credit in the world. They battled back. Absolutely.
It was like 2 different teams. It really was.
Absolutely.
On to Ron. We gotta talk about it, Ron.
But what?
Your Rams played tough.
Oh, yeah.
And then your head coach pissed off Las Vegas bettors. Just pissed them all off. Did you see that? The field goal that set up the damn – nobody covered because of that. Everybody was betting on the Rams and nobody covered. He said after the game, he gave an excuse why it happened. I don't really care what the excuse was. Matthew Stafford threw 2 picks. One of them, I think, came in emergency crunch time. I can't put that on him. Akers is gone. Give me something, Ron.
Kyron Williams is good. He's not sustainable at playing 95% of the snaps in offense. They played good. The one interception was kind of Stafford's fault.
It was on Matt. Yeah, that was on him.
Yeah. The other one was Jefferson didn't do the right route, and then they missed another possible touchdown because Atwell didn't run the right route. Hey, I'm happy how they played. They should have gotten smoke checked. They
played tough.
Yeah, I went into the game with no expectations other than let's see what they did, which is kind of a nice way to watch the game. They I think they're further ahead than what people think they are and I think they're not going to be a cakewalk like everybody else thinks they are. If you take away the 50-yard run from McCaffrey, he only rushed for 56 yards against them. Mm-hmm. Now, my thing with them is why in the hell they can't figure out to freaking stop Debo. They do the same thing every freaking game with him, and they can't stop him. They just need if they can figure that part out, they might be able to beat them. But hey, as long as they be in the postseason, I'm good.
Well, you got to get one of them. You got to get one of them. I think if you're going to see them in the postseason, so you got to get one of them.
I think they also show a little kink in the armor with Brock Purdy too, because he was missing some of those throws. If you get in his face a little bit, you don't need to sack him. But if you get in his face and pressure him, he can't make those deep throws.
I'm going to say this about Shanahan: the dude makes running backs and quarterbacks look amazing. He is simply his father's son. He can take a quarterback. He can turn him into something out of nothing. He can find a running back and turn him into something. I love Shanahan. I'm all on board with that guy. I hate the Niners, so it's a tough thing. Big Lou says Tampa's going to get stomped by Philly. Just like the Jets got their ass handed to them by Dallas, I'm not touching this other than just saying this. Dallas had the ball for 42 minutes. That's enough said. It wasn't even worth watching. Washington and Denver.
Speak to me, Don.
You saved the best for last.
Now we got a couple more after this, but I'm going to talk about these jackasses. So I'm watching this complete and total train wreck of a game, and we're up 21-3, and we turned the ball over, and then it all turned around. I'm watching my defensive coordinator use Patrick Surtain, who is arguably a top 3 cornerback in this league. I don't think it's going out on the wire to say he's a top 3 cornerback.
Yeah.
Playing 8 yards off, not even guarding McLaurin, their best receiver, in zone coverage. I've got my other cornerbacks playing zone coverage. The left tackle and left guard of the Commanders is their weak point. We were rarely blitzing their weak point. We were playing the dumbest defensive play call I've ever seen in my entire life. And then Russell Wilson, right on cue in the second half, does nothing for the next quarter and a half until a Hail Mary of a play magically brings them back into this thing. It's a sad show to watch. I'm starting to lose a lot of faith in Russell Wilson. I saw, Javonte Williams carried it 12 times. Perrine didn't get it that many times. He got it like 1 or 2 times carrying. I don't know what they're doing. Vance Joseph's play calling in that game was a joke. You do not play zone coverage with a cornerback like that. You have a safety behind him playing zone in case he gives up the ghost. You don't have that guy not locking down the best wideout on the team. It was disgusting. As a fan, we're 0-2 when we're on to Miami, and I'm not going to be surprised if Vance Joseph does the same dumb shit he just did and we get blown out 35-3. Pathetic showing. On to Miami and New England.
Oh, wait, Don, hold on 1 second. How did their offensive line look overall? Because I know Russ was sacked about 6 or 7 times, right?
Here's the thing.
Maybe.
They showed the film. I've seen some highlights. He had open guys that he wasn't seeing. So it's a combination. He's not seeing the field on some of these plays like he should be to open receivers, and the offensive line was getting bum rushed in the second half because the momentum had totally swung. I'm starting to lose faith in Russ. I hope I'm wrong. He's a good guy, but I need you to play football, son. I don't care what you do off the field. Your job is to play football. That's what I need you to do. I need you to see your open receivers. If you're not sure where to go with it, you need to be taking off like you used to in Seattle. Get going. That's what I want to see out of Russell Wilson.
Are they going to be 0-3 after this week?
Oh, yeah, they're 0-3. They're going down. I have no doubt this team's going down to Miami. They're going down to Miami where it's going to be 100 degrees in the shade and all the humidity. My blood pressure's good right now, Larry. Come Sunday, it might be shot through the roof. Miami and New England, I don't really know what to say about this game. But it was a decent game, but Miami was never in trouble. They jumped out to a 17-3 lead. You didn't really question who was going to win the game. But, New England made it interesting late by scoring 2 touchdowns. Nothing about that game. I'll say this much. Belichick always has a game plan, and he was holding Tyreek Hill in check. He was really holding him down.
Yeah.
So I was impressed with that.
Yeah. He really is. Look, He's not a good coach. He's a great coach. He's an historic coach. When the Eagles and Patriots opened up, I saw a lot on the Patriots defense. I was very impressed with their defense. And I think, look, I'm not going to watch every Patriots game this year, but I think that's going to be a common theme, that they're always going to be in the games because of their coach. He just knows how to scheme. He knows how to put the players in the right position. Maybe, I don't know what they're going to win this year, 8, 9 games, whatever, but I think they're always going to be there.
I think once they start getting used to the Bill O'Brien offensive system, I think they'll start cooking. They need what they've always needed, is like a legit number 1 receiver on their team, New England. That can
they can never get one, though. They can't get one unless it's a slot guy. That's always been their number 1 receiver, is a slot guy or the big tight end. I don't know what's with that organization. If there is one area that Bill Belichick needs to raise his hand and say, I can't do this, it's drafting wideouts. My man couldn't find, if it was raining Jerry Rice's outside, the dude would reach out and grab a turd. Like that's just what he is. He cannot get a good receiver to save his life.
Yeah.
Carolina, New Orleans was the last game I watched this weekend. It was not exciting football for the first probably 3 quarters. And then Carolina sort of made a little run. Derek Carr, you can tell he's still sort of figured out the offense. You can also tell, in my opinion, they're missing Alvin Kamara. They're missing that guy. Yeah. He is what makes that offense run. He is that 5-yard up the middle. That's my emergency bailout when nothing else is working. What was it Michael Thomas? He looks like he's back. I was glad to see he got 7 catches in there. I'm also glad that Chris Olave looks like I thought he was going to be, which is the number 1 receiver in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But then you look over at the Panthers, and they got a lot of youth on that team, man. Jonathan Mingo might eventually be a great receiver, but he's really got a lot to learn as a rookie. What did you guys think of it?
Ron, go ahead, Ron.
Okay, I think with the Saints, that their Carr looked out of sync a little bit with his receivers. They do need the running game. Jamal Williams being out, Kenny hurt, and then Andre Miller not being there forced their hand a little bit. And they had their little Taysom Hill to do the gadget plays and stuff. But I think they'll be fine. Their defense is just stout. They got great defense.
It is.
Panthers now, they're just young. They're young and experienced as a whole new defensive system, a whole new offensive system that everybody's learning and stuff. Burns didn't play either, right? If I remember right. I don't think Burns, but I think he's still holding out because he's hurt or contract dispute. So they're missed Burns. But I think once they'll be all right. I think Panthers, once they get going, they need to protect Young too. You can't protect them.
No, Brian Burns was in the game. Brian Burns, he played.
Okay.
Yeah, he's back.
Hey, I'll tell you what. If the Saints can get their offense figured out, if Kamara can come back, I am impressed with their defense. It's one of the best to me. I don't know where you guys rank them at, but they're to me so far from what I've seen around the league. I mean, the Eagles, these other teams. To me, the Saints are one of the best defenses.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, looking ahead to next week, gentlemen. I mean, that was these last week's recaps. Give me a game you're looking forward to watching the NFL. Just give me one, not your homer team, a game you're looking forward to watching.
Falcons and Lions.
All right, I can see that. Can they run the ball against a stout defensive front like the Lions have, which they do have?
And then you have the underlying story of Bijan Robinson and Gibbs.
I will give you that game. The Chargers in Minnesota, the Suck Bowl. Yeah. Somebody's got to win. And if you tie, everybody gets fired in L.A. What you got for me, Ricky?
I'll tell you what. I'm looking forward to the Rams and Cincinnati. Does Cincinnati go 0-3?
Ooh, good call. I like that. Because everything
I'll tell you what. Wait, you know what? Just to add to that, I was going to add it prior, but I forgot. We got caught up in something else. The young receiver, Ron, that young receiver, Puka, I'm saying his name wrong. Puka Nacua. Pardon me. 15 receptions, 147 yards. That's Cooper Kupp numbers.
Yeah. Well, that's the
That
new
kid-
Cooper Cup. That's the new
That
Cooper
kid
Cup.
was, listen, he was running routes across the middle. He was everywhere.
I think they got something there. I think
He-
they
oh,
got something.
he's
Yeah.
that kid. He's the real deal. Let me just,
And
from my eye, he's the real deal, man. That kid was good.
And even more impressive than Atwell. They thought Atwell was going to be a bust. But
Atwell's playing well. I mean, he's playing the role
Yeah.
that they needed to play. I'll say this much. I didn't think he would have the game he had against the Niners because they do have a stout defense.
Yeah.
Hey, the kid was running loose in that secondary, man. He's faster than he looks. They better pay attention. Gentlemen, that's all I got tonight. You got anything else?
Nope. I'm
Nope,
actually looking forward to Steelers and Raiders just because it's an old-time game, you know?
Well, I want to thank everybody that joined us today. If you're new to the program, check us out on YouTube, the Squared Circle Maniacs. We do football, we do wrestling, we do music. We're getting into some little bit of everything. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. That helps us out with our algorithm. We'll see y'all later.